Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and welcome to the second Awaken Realms unboxing in a single week. It's been a good week for those giant white boxes showing up on your doorstep. Speaking of giant white boxes, because my camera's on auto and all that stuff, I don't play with settings because I don't know how to do it. Jesse would be disappointed. But because my camera's on auto, until these boxes are a little bit more out of shot, the general camera's going to be a bit darker because, well, it's trying to course correct the amount of whiteness in this shot, which you'll see soon. Either way, coffee shot. And by the way, I think this is going to be my default mug to go with for unboxing videos going forward. And the reason for that being, well, first of all, if you look at the mug, it says, Kickstarter, 4 months late, 6 months late, 18 months late. And the irony is there's a particular story behind this mug. It's not that long a story. See how it already brightened up over here now that the giant amounts of whiteness are out of the way? But this mug has a bit of a story behind it in the sense that, for the record, this is an unboxing and rambling. If you're new here, it means that I'll talk about the Great Wall for maybe 25% of the video if we're lucky, and the rest of the time I'll just talk about whatever ends up crossing my mind. So, going back to this mug, story around the mug. The mug is a mug that I purchased 3 mugs, or more specifically my wife purchased 3 mugs at roughly the same time. From those 3 mugs, 2 of them arrived in a week. This one arrived in a month. Secondly, from those mugs, this one arrived with the text over like here, okay? It's a little bit, it's not even centered. It's kind of on the side at a slight angle. It's not, this is a standard mug. You see a standard mug, you usually have it on one side or perhaps both sides. This one's just kind of just a little bit over here where no one can see it. And you can't necessarily see this. Maybe I'll try showing it to you. But compared to my other mugs, the text is a bit pixelated and fuzzy. Oh, and it's also off-center that way. If you look at the top over there, it kind of starts there and drifts a little bit downwards. It's like they didn't get it exactly on there, which I think is incredibly amusing given the message of the mug. In other words, it's late. It kind of gave me what they said they're going to give me, but not exactly, and the quality is not quite as good. That said, this is the Great Wall from Awaken Realms, and I can tell you right now without having looked at anything here, the quality in these boxes will be good. What I can't say is the gameplay. Gameplay will be a different conversation. See, now's the part where we'll talk about the Great Wall. Now, I've talked about the Great Wall before. This is going to be Awaken Realms' unique game in the sense that they are bringing you a semi-cooperative worker placement tower defense style game in which, let me open this over here. I don't know why I'm doing this so close to me. It's gonna be a tower defense semi-cooperative worker placement style game in which you try to defend against the incoming hordes together. It's gonna be semi-co-op in that aspect, but ultimately you need to, have the most points, which is the competitive aspect of the game. Semi-co-op is generally considered a death knell to games. It really is. If you put semi-co-op onto a game, people are that much less interested off the bat. Let's go ahead and look at this board over here. Ooh, this is a pretty board. It's gonna be, I'm gonna have to zoom out the camera for a second so you can see this. Look at that over there. Look at this board. It's beautiful. Look at this over here. Got a very different style to it, but overall, I like it. We're going to go ahead and, let's go ahead and close that up for right now. But yeah, semi-co-op. So semi-co-op can be a death knell for games. In this game, on the other hand, what I will say is, guess what the highest rated semi-cooperative game is on Board Game Geek? If you guessed Nemesis, then you're right. Nemesis, I believe, I'm not actually certain about this, but I know Nemesis is like rated 23 on Board Game Geek, and I don't think there are any semi-co-ops above it. I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. But cooperative games, lots of highly rated cooperative games. The number 1 game on Board Game Geek was going to be Gloomhaven. That's a cooperative game. Then we have, and so is Pandemic Legacy, which I think is still the number 2. I think it's still, I could be wrong. And then we have, I think Terraforming Mars is 3 or 4. I don't remember all of them exactly where they are, but it starts with 2 cooperative games. Then it has a whole bunch of competitive games. It has Star Wars Rebellions, like number 4, I think. Again, I don't remember the exact, I'm going by memory here. But then we have, going all the way down to 23, is the highest rated semi-cooperative game, and it's published by Awaken Realms. So if anyone has managed to get semi-co-op down, they have. That said, I think it's different. We'll come back to that in a second. So, component list. Miniatures over here. We have the introduction. We have Camille, art direction, Marcin. Oh, art direction. Hey, Marcin. We have over here just lots of names and stuff and things. And then we have the special thanks, backers, etc., etc. Introduction. Okay. The Great Wall. Flavor text. You've already watched well, I don't know if you have, but if you haven't already, there's going to be an unboxing over on Quacklope where they cover flavor text and actually talk about the game. Although they put things in their mouths, so I don't know who's less professional. It's a contest, really, a race to the bottom, if it were. Then we have the setup over here, followed by page 7. We have Basic rules. Okay, this is where I care about. Okay, basic rules. Setup over here. Game elements. Game elements starts on page 5. We're going to count from there. So starting from 6, we'll cover from 6 onwards. 6 to wall sections. This is text heavy. So I just did an unboxing for Nemesis, like I said already. And Nemesis, whoa, this is a short game. Whoa. Whoa. I'm going to read these rules soon because I want to play. I'm going to get this played now. Okay, this is page 6. No, 1 second. Page 6 to page 7, page 8, page 9, and page 10, and then page 11. And then page 11 includes the 2-player mode and a little bit more there. That's not a lot of text. That's going to be, what, 5 pages of text? That's really not a lot. Now, granted, what I was about to say before I realized how short it was, is that it's incredibly text heavy. There's like no images. I think Awaken Realms, much as I love them as a company, I haven't read the rules, so I'm not critiquing them just yet. And I talked about this in my Nemesis unboxing as well. We have a solo mode over here. Maybe I'll get the solo mode up and running. Do I want to try the solo mode of this? That's risky, right? I mean, do I want to? And we have a beautiful index. King of Average will be proud. We have a cooperative mode. I might want to try this first. So I want to try all of these because I want to get a rating. Maybe I should try the solo, co-op, and competitive because I want to review this as soon as I'm able to. So we'll see how that goes. We'll put that over there. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll play solo tonight. Maybe I'll play co-op tonight later, and then I'll play competitive when I have more people around. We'll see what we get. We'll see what we have to do here. Lots of games I'm trying to get to the table. This is just one more, but we'll see. We got the player screens, which got the handy dandy little, let me show up the top camera over here. We got the handy dandy little showing you all the stuff you can do, showing you the various advanced activation, the actions you can take, all those things. That's useful. I love when a player screen includes a good amount of information, as opposed to Cyclades, which is one of my favorite games, has a player screen that is sort of useful, but only like once you really know the game. Here's going to be the constructible walls. So we got these punching out already. Do I want to try constructing things on camera? I don't. I really don't, because I'd rather not edit, and if this goes poorly, then it will be a bit of a mess, but maybe I will. We'll see. Maybe we'll do, I'm going to put this off to the side for now. We'll figure things out. So, we have the punch boards over here. Punch boards, normal thickness, nothing particularly amazing, nothing particularly bad. They are popping out very easily, which is great for the actual punching part, not so great when you're trying to keep things organized for an unboxing part. We have the spikes over here, various things and stuff and tokens, all the stuff you expect to see in an unboxing, but also the less interesting stuff. And then we have over here, this stuff over here. This is fun. These are going to be the miniatures part. Let's throw these tokens on the ground. And we have trays and trays of miniatures, which is always my favorite part. Oof, they're pretty. They're pretty. See, I remember way back, I think King of Average got the prototype for this way back in the day. I don't remember if he reviewed it. He must have reviewed it, right? I can't remember. But we'll see either way. Let's go ahead and dig into this. Now, the thing is, though, the game where it is now and the game where it was then are likely two completely separate states. And this is something I talked about in my video. I did a video as to why I backed the Great Wall. And effectively, and this is not great, hi Awaken Realms, sorry if you see this part, but I effectively said, I'm not confident in it. I'm not confident in it at all. I know a few things. I know that, one, it will hold its value. So these are pretty resources, by the way. I know that, one, it will hold its value, so I'm not particularly concerned. Ooh, upgraded resources. We'll talk in a second. I said I'm not particularly concerned about the whether I like it or not, because it will hold its value, so that's totally fine. And then these are beautiful, beautiful tokens. Number two was that I wanted this because my kids wanted the miniatures. Not that I keep games that they like the miniatures. I just got rid of Rising Sun, which is a game that they liked for a long time. And then I got rid of that because, as much as they liked it, once I decided it was a game that was not for me, it was time to move on from it. The good news is I now have a replacement for them, so that's great. They'll be happy with that. Although, if I don't like it, this won't stay either. So we'll see how that goes. And then 3 was the idea that Awaken Realms has yet to produce a game that has been that poorly received. We have different levels of how well they're received, but what's the lowest ranked Awaken Realms game? Is it The Edge Dawnfall? I think it must be The Edge of Dawnfall, right? I think that's the one that's probably the lowest, and that's still incredibly well rated. Their games are all like in the top 200 on Board Game Geek. Not exactly, but they're well rated games. So I have a certain degree of confidence. I'm actually going to go straight to upgraded resources, by the way, so you can compare and contrast. I had a great deal of confidence in Awaken Realms, despite not being confident in the game itself, because they had this game on TTS, and they had people who were able to playtest the game. Ow. I just hurt myself. That's sad. So they had people who had playtesting the game, and the feedback was mixed. There were people who enjoyed it. I remember Tom Vassell seemed to like it. They had a playthrough of it at a convention somewhere. Oh, these are beautiful. Beautiful resources here. Beautiful resource alert. Absolutely delightful. So they had Tom Vassell played out at the convention somewhere, and he was he seemed mixed on it too. Like he liked parts of it, but again, I'm just reading into things. But overall, it seemed that the general receptiveness of the game was mixed. Favorable content as well as, you know, good but content. The whole thing felt like good but, including the reviews of people who played it on TTS and all that. But the game was constantly going through development. It never fully finished development. So these are absolutely... So here's the problem we have here, okay? I imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, I imagine that these components over here are replacements for these are replacements for these, and these are replacements for these. Now, first of all, let's just be very clear here. The basic resources of this game are better than many resources you'll see in many games already. That said, I'm fine replacing these with these. I like that upgrade. I'll show you in the top camera in a second. I'm fine replacing these with these. That's also great. I want both of these, and I don't know which one I like more. These are more standard, but I do like the shine they have to them. These are a little bit more matte. I don't know what I'm going to do. Here, watch. I'm going to show you a bunch of resources from each in my hand over here. We'll do a little top shot so you can see what's going on. This is what we have over here, okay? These are going to be the resources you have in this game. Beautiful resources as it is, okay? That's pile 1. Now I'm going to grab you piles of these, which are absolutely gorgeous as well. I mean, overall, I definitely prefer the... Oh my gosh, these look beautiful. Okay, look at these. These are resources too, so if you went for the upgraded resources in this game, you're getting some pretty cool stuff, and not standard stuff either. This is awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and bag these up again so that I can actually, you know, continue with the unboxing part. But anyways, yeah, so that was my whole video. I did a whole video saying, hey, this game's gonna hold its value, and here's why I backed it, because A, hold its value, B, because I have hope, C, I actually like worker placement, D, I don't think I said this in the video, but D, as much as I love Awaken Realms, every time they put out a non-campaign game, I breathe a sigh of relief. In fact, when Lords of Ragnarok came out, when they announced Lords of Ragnarok, the expansion to Lords of Hellas, not the expansion, the standalone sequel to Lords of Hellas, when they announced that, I literally breathed a sigh of relief because I have self-control issues, apparently. And part of my self-control issues is going to be that I want to back all the games that look shiny in the theoretical premise that one day I'll have time to play all these games, one day. Meanwhile, every year that goes by, more games are being produced and the backlog just keeps getting higher. Where am I going with these? These are going over here. By the way, I didn't show you these. These are the hearts and gems. I assume these are not replaced by upgraded resources, but they're beautiful as well. So look at those heart tokens. Those are some of the better wound tokens I've seen in any game. Again, this is the basic resources. So yeah, so self-control issues, all of that, we're talking about that, that's where up to there. And so I keep getting their campaign games, even though I have a hard time finishing them. So let's go through their games. Let's go through Awaken Realms catalog of games. Let's talk about that. So if I'm not going to talk about the Great Wall the whole time, I can at least talk about other things Awaken Realms. So, I have not played this war of mine. I have gotten it recently, by the way, because I put out a video a few months ago called the Top 10 Worst Games in Quacklope's Collection, and in that video, I picked this war of mine, and I think it was the only one in that video that I hadn't actually played. And of course, the internet's rightfully avenged its honor or something like that, and went after me. How could you possibly... Actually, the funny thing is, very few people actually focused on the fact that I hadn't played it. They just focused on the fact that I was wrong, without focusing on the fact that I hadn't even played it. So, like, either way. But that's the point there is going to be... Let's go ahead and look at some cards over here. The point there is that it had a lot of defenders, and I basically talked about how this war of mine is a game that I didn't want to play because of the fact that it is a game that punishes you. It's a game that makes you constantly feel challenged to actually do things. From what I've heard about the game, not from my actual knowledge of the game, but from what I've generally heard of the game, meaning my knowledge of playing it, from what I've generally heard of the game, it seems to be a game that is very punishing. It's a game where you strategize and you plan and you do all this, and then something horrible happens and you have to get around that. I don't love that concept in games. It might be a great game, but I don't love the concept, which is why, despite researching it heavily over the years, I have not picked that one up. Now, since then, because of this video, I decided I have to pick it up and have to table it because one of two things will happen. Either I get to put out a video where I tell you, you're right, I can't believe I haven't played this game, it's the best, I should not have held off for so long, which is possible. Or I'll get to say, no, there's a reason I didn't want to play this game, and it's everything about this game. It is punishing, it is brutal, it is not fun. Is it, you know, a good lesson of what war is like? Sure, but that's not why I play board games. I play board games for fun. So that's this war of mine. I have not played it yet. I hope to play it. I have a copy. Number 2, the first Awaken Realms game I actually played is going to be The Edge Dawnfall. The Edge Dawnfall, I looked into it heavily. I traded for a copy. I didn't back the Kickstarter, but I traded for a copy after. And then I kind of had it on my shelf a little bit, and they announced the second Kickstarter, and so I did what I usually do with my collection, which is as soon as they announce another Kickstarter, I suddenly make a priority to actually get those games played. Which is funny, by the way, because with Lords of Hellas, which we'll talk about soon, I actually played that one right before they announced the Kickstarter. So timing of that was good. But anyways, going back to the conversation here. So, where were we? Edge Dawnfall. So the Edge Dawnfall, I played it because they announced the second Kickstarter. And I got a game in, and I enjoyed it. And I played it a few times in the frame of the Kickstarter. Actually, I backed the Kickstarter for $1 because I wasn't sure. I kept on going back and forth. I liked it, but it was a lot to actually table. There's lots of stuff there. It's expensive. Lots of stuff to back more. I could have spent another $500 on the game getting all the extra stuff for the game. I went back and forth. I played a bunch of games. Eventually, I settled on I'm not keeping it. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I liked it a lot. It's that there were some aspects of the gameplay that I didn't love compared to other games that I like in the skirmish genre. So, for instance, I kept on comparing it to Rum and Bones. Not the actual gameplay. The gameplay is very different there. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to have a sip of the coffee that I so nicely prepared. Now, I'm going to take an interruption here to show you some art. So, we have some leaders over here. Just these cards over here, the brutes. We have the infantry. I'm not showing you everything. We have shield bearers. These are all the enemies you're going to be fighting, trying to lay various tiles on top of them, taking the various rewards. I really actually want to pull this out and play this solo tonight. I think that's my new goal. We'll see how it goes. It doesn't end well for me no matter what. Well, it does end well for me. Here's the ideal rating for this game. The ideal rating for this game is a 4, because if I give it a 1, well, I mean, I'm not going to give it a 1. It can't be that bad. A 2, probably the same problem. A 3 is okay, but then it's like, do I keep a 3 that's this expensive? Hard decisions. And a 5 means I'm going to have a whole bunch of people coming after me that I keep giving games 5. Don't worry, by the way. It doesn't matter how often the 5 thing becomes an ongoing joke, and it will. If I like a game, I'm going to give it a 5. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to intentionally give a game a 4 instead of a 5 just to appease people and make them think that I'm more critical. I go through what I liked, what I didn't like, what I can see others not liking. In fact, a funny thing happened the other day. Which is I got a comment on an older video telling me that they were upset that I raved about a game. The art's gorgeous here. They were saying, "Oh, I can't believe you said this game is so good and you really enjoyed it." And I don't even think I was rating games back then. But they're like, you basically sold me on a game, and I played it, and it's not good because of this, and it's not good because of that, and it's not good because of that. And then I said, "Hey, check out the section of the video where I said what I can see others not liking." It was literally those 3 things. I literally said, here's why you might not like it. Some of the stuff was abstract. Some of the aspects, I don't remember what it was, but I went through the aspects of the game, that there's some degree of luck in the game as well. I went through the aspects that person had a problem with, and he ignored them. He got caught in by the fact that I loved the game, and I still love the game. I have no apologies for that. And it's a well-rated game, by the way. I'm not alone in liking the game. It's not like I'm some magical exception here. It's a well-rated game. I think it's top 100 on Board Game Geek. It has like a 7.9 or something like that. It's got a good rating. I am amongst the people who like it, but I did say, here are the reasons you might not like it. And he didn't hear that. He focused on, did I show you this file? I don't think so. He focused on the hype I had and not the criticisms I gave as to why it might be an issue. Ultimately, I don't care how many games I love, as long as I am being as fair or reasonable as possible about the reasons you might not like it. As long as I can point those out. In fact, one of the things that does bother me is, let's give an example. Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World is a game that this is the part where I just go on a complete tangent. I'll come back to the Awaken Realms game soon. I should. But Monster Hunter World is a game that I rated and reviewed. And King of Average also rated and reviewed it. And we both had a lot of the same criticisms, but there's a point that he got that I did not get, and it really bothered me. And that point was, he said that the rulebook was missing some, and it's a prototype, so I'm not that concerned, but it still bothers me. He said the rulebook was missing some basic information that was not clear. There were some aspects of the game that weren't clear that the rulebook did not make clear. And the problem is, I had played my first game online with the developers. He hadn't. So the things that were small details that weren't clear in the rulebook, I already knew from my game, so I missed it. I read the whole rulebook after. I did read the rulebook because being guided through a game is not the same as guiding someone else through a game. and I had to guide other people through the game. But then I reread the rulebook after watching Gaijun's review, and I was like, he's right, those parts are missing. But I was fortunate enough to actually experience those with the developer, and I never noticed they were missing because they're like basic small stuff. They weren't big deals, but they're big deals if you don't know them. And it bothered me that in my review, even though we both ended up in similar places, we both thought Primal was better, we both were still getting Monster Hunter World, we both had positives and negatives about the game, we had some small disagreements. I think we both commented on the monster AI not being as fully fleshed out as we wanted, but I think he was more harsh about that than I was. But overall, we hit a lot of the same notes, but it bothered me that there was a genuine criticism of the game that I hadn't included. Whether or not it affects my rating is not the point, I just want to be comprehensive in my reviews. These are going to be the miniatures. So, overall, these miniatures are solid, but also potentially underwhelming compared to what you're comparing it to. So, for example, in my case, I'm comparing this to the Nemesis I just unboxed a few days ago, and those were, well, cooler miniatures, because these are cool, don't get me wrong, they're very cool, but they're smaller, and smaller is not as cool. Now, they are better than Lords of Hellas. If you ever played Lords of Hellas, they're upping the detail that they have on smaller sculpts. The sun drop technique this is sun dropped, right? I'm pretty sure this is sun dropped. The sun drop technique is a little bit more subtle than Nemesis as well. It is more akin to Lords of Hellas as well, but more consistent. They clearly are continuing to up their game with sun drop, giving you more consistent quality, a little bit of shading. This really is much more subtle. It's interesting. I'm curious. I kind of want to see sun drop and non-sun drop side by side. But let's go ahead and show you some bowmen of different factions at the same time, because every single type of character in the game is unique. So let's go ahead and show you those. Let's try to line up shots like we do like this. Okay. And this. And we'll get these like so. I can do this. I can do this, he says confidently. So that's going to be the different bowmen up here. So you can see them over here. You can see how they're all slightly different. I'm probably holding up too many at a time. It's all good. We'll put them away for now. So yes, so where were we? We were the Edge Dawnfall. The Edge Dawnfall, I liked it, but I prefer to play Rum and Bones. Different game. Very different game, to be very clear. But let's go ahead and just show you some horses at the same time. So we got these two horses. Okay. Yeah, so I prefer to play Rum and Bones with my 2-player head-to-head skirmish time, and so eventually I was going back and forth. There's the combination of the price of going all in, plus the fact that I liked the deck building, the armory building of Lords of Hellas, of Edge Dawnfall a lot, but the actual combat I found to be good, but it had some issues. I didn't love it quite as much as some other skirmish games, and so it left my collection, but I enjoyed it. Then, what would be the next Awaken Realms game I played? I got Lords of Hellas. I didn't play it. I didn't play it until this past year, but I got Lords of Hellas in late 2018. Let's look at a basic unit over here. So I got Lords of Hellas in late 2018, and then didn't play it until, well, mid-2021, although I'm happy I finally did table it. We'll talk about that more. I'll have a review. In fact, I think I'm going to have a review for Lords of Hellas up this Saturday. We'll see what we can do over there. Okay, look at these over here. These are going to be the basic units over here. Pretty cool, I almost said all things considered. I don't like doing that. So we got this like so. There we go. Look at these guys. They're pretty cool. Solid sculpts. Again, they're subtle. Very subtle in terms of the shading, very subtle in terms of the detail. But this is gonna be the main box of the Great Wall. Now it's worth noting, the main box of the Great Wall, if I recall correctly, was affordably priced. It was not the same price as, I don't remember what it was. I shouldn't comment on the price, because I don't remember. I don't actually remember what the price was of the core box. It has been a while since I looked at the Kickstarter. We're going to go ahead and put all this back in the core box and then move on to the next stuff. Going back to what I was saying. So I was talking about, this goes over here and over here. I was talking about the games of Awaken Realms. So yes, that was that. Then I think the next game I probably played was probably ISS Vanguard. I backed Nemesis Lockdown before I got ISS Vanguard, so I backed it, but I didn't get it. I just backed it. And then after that, the next game was going to be, so I never played Nemesis. I had it temporarily. I backed the original. I got rid of my copy when the Kickstarter was coming out, so I could back that all in. Then we had ISS Vanguard, which is going to be the next Awaken Realms game I've played. Now, ISS Vanguard, I've thoroughly enjoyed. I'm currently in the middle of my second playthrough of the game, so that's a decent shot over there. Let these bags up. Whatever. Let's go ahead. What should we do next? Stretch goals? Let's do stretch goals. That seems fun. We can do the black border. Lots of fun stuff over here. Also, we have Gaijun, so we'll see how that plays out. So yeah, so I played ISS Vanguard. Really enjoyed that one. Mechanically light, but the narrative is very rewarding, and the ship phase in particular is a lot of fun. The ship phase is a lot of upgrading and choosing how to proceed in the game. Lots of fun. Looking forward to going through it a final time where I can actually finish the whole story instead of just playing through parts of the story, so I can do that again and again and again. Ideally, I'd like to be able to like jump start to somewhere in the middle, but I don't know I'll be able to. Okay, we have the Great Wall rulebook for stretch goals. Ooh, these stretch goals are already prettier. So we have the Genghis Khan expansion, we have the Ancient Chronicles expansion, we have the 5th player, the Rat expansion, and that's what we have as far as the rules. Box-wise, we got some cool stuff already. We have another faction over here. We have, is it any different? I don't know if it's any different. I think it's just another wall, but I don't think they're any different. Not like a Rising Sun where each faction has its own thing. These are pretty. So let's go ahead and show you what we got here. To begin with, this is going to be the free 24-hour stretch goal, or of course you could back it as well. You could have bought it if you weren't there in the beginning. Look at that. Look at that cannon, okay? It's basically a giant cannon snake thingy. It's a dragon. It's surrounding a cannon, right? Yeah, there's a cannon. It's a dragon around a cannon on a temple. Okay, there we go. Back in focus. It's pretty cool. And then sun dropped, of course. Yeah, the sun drops is very subtle. In a good way, in a good way. Let's see if there's any top here. This top? Nope, it's all one layer. Okay. So we have that over there. We have Genghis Khan over here with his adorable little miniature. I mean, adorable is probably the wrong word. We should probably save that for, like, the chibis that are in Platformer. Platformer, by the way, which is going up, today? No, tomorrow. Platformer went up yesterday. Platformer went up yesterday. Check out a Platformer over on Gamefound. Make sure to do that. Speaking of Awaken Realms game. That's Awaken Realms like. I'm not talking about that. So going back to that, so I played ISS Vanguard, enjoyed that. Around the same time, I played Etherfields and have enjoying that one. Although at this point, I don't know if I'll finish the campaign. At this point, 10 or so dreams in. I kept playing a bit after my review and comparison of the two games, but I didn't keep going enough. Eventually I was moving some tables around, and eventually I got packed it up. I don't know if I want to pull it out again right now. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I have a lot of other games. I want to dive into Tainted Grail as well. I have not had the chance to dive into there, so I'm intrigued there. Cool miniatures. Just another faction. Very orangey. Lots of things. I'm going to show you this up top. I'm not going to overly dwell on this. But yeah, so that's going to be basically everything Awaken Realms. Did I cover it all? Tainted Grail, This War of Mine, The Edge Dawnfall, ISS Vanguard, Nemesis, and Etherfields. It's a pretty decent list, by the way. They have some solid campaigns under the belt. But anyways, going back to the words I was saying. So, I hope to play this one shortly, and the Great Wall, of course. I hope to play this. I think I'm going to read as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go grab dinner, and then start reading the solo rules so that I can try to get a game in tonight, and then depending on the time, maybe get a 2-player game in tonight as well. We'll see. I'm very tempted. I'm very intrigued by this game, and I want to see what happens with it. Anyways, so going back to the game. Like I said already, it's going to be a semi-cooperative worker placement game with a cooperative mode. And I think that's one of the things I actually touched upon in my why I backed it, which is they had a cooperative mode, and so I was intrigued by that. We have the Black Powder expansion. Ta-da! Just 2 pages of rules. It's all good there. Got some more towers and things over here. And then all kinds of fun siege equipment for this game. And a little crinkled silica packet by the side. So, that's going to be this. These are some cool things. Now, for all of these, by the way, there was a meeple version as well, which where we go. The meeples did look gorgeous. I kind of want to get the meeples as well. Look at that. This is going to be a little ladder. I think these will all be tokens, I believe. No. The meeple version, I don't remember what the meeple version had for these. I'm a little nervous with these. These are like something else. Look at these. We got little siege engines, okay? You could probably have backed. It's not focusing. There we go. Focus you. Yeah, so honestly, the amount of stuff you get in this, you probably just have justified the price point of this as if you're into Warhammer, you could either buy little catapults like this for like $12 a piece, or you can have the all-in pledge of this game, still have a full game with it, and be using these in your Warhammer army. That said, just make sure you're playing with the right kind of people, because the wrong kind of people will be like, no, you can't use that, and also you have to have your army pre-painted, or we're not going to let you in. Look at this dragon cannon. Look at this. These are absolutely gorgeous. Again, this is just this miniature sculpts, but we knew that. We knew that before we even started this video, that they were going to have gorgeous things. That was never the question. Oh, look at that. We have little, like, turtle tower thingies to replace my Kickstarters from Rising Sun. This is gorgeous. I don't even know what they do, but they are green, which begs the question. Are they, like, special? Like, we have a bunch of these factions over here, these are all interesting. They must be special, because these are the various unique characters we have for each faction. It's like a unique sculpt with these. Look at these. My kids are going to have a problem with this particular sculpt, because they're going to want to play with it, but that is easily snappable. We got a whole bunch of these as well. We got someone holding a crossbow. Crossbow looks like it's too big for them. I'm sure they'll make good work with it. Okay, and then we got 2 more siege equipment before we move on to basically the last few stuff. Okay, we got over here, and let me show you that. Focus, focus, there we go. Look at that little trebuchet. What is the difference between a trebuchet and a catapult? I should know this difference. I don't think I do. I mean, I know what is the main difference. A catapult is weight driven. A trebuchet, I don't actually know the difference. We have a battering ram, all kinds of fun siege equipment. This is a solid table presence, and that is going to be the Great Wall Black Powder expansion. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I'll double check the box in a second. Let's rotate this around. Overall, I am very intrigued. The problem is, I'm intrigued enough to kind of want to play all of it, but I can't, because you gotta pick and choose what hits the table. Okay, this is over here, and then it's time for coffee time. Ancient Beasts, or upgraded resources we already did. We can put that to the side. Upgraded Ancient Beasts. Let's do the Ancient Beasts. Let's do the art book after that, and then we'll do Gaijun last. Of course, timestamp down below and everything for all of that. By the way, this is an earlier shipped copy, so your copy of the Great Wall is coming soon. I don't know exactly when soon is, but soon-ish. This box got a little damaged, but these are flimsy boxes to begin with. The Ancient Beasts expansion is going to give us a few more pretty little beasts to look at. And again, with accompanied gorgeous little meeple versions of them as well. Look at these. Look at these little miniatures. What do they do? No idea. See, I know the base game. The base game I know, or at least I should rephrase that. I knew how the base game played during the Kickstarter. I don't know what changes they made, because they closed down TTS. It was so interesting. They closed down TTS, they closed down the game, and they're like, and we're still making changes to it, and it's gonna ship soon, but we're still making changes to it. So I have no idea what this game is gonna be like. It might be a hot mess. It might be. I have no idea. I don't imagine it will. Again, they have a track record of putting out at least things that are good. So the question is whether it's good or great. That's a different question. It's interesting. I'm happy it's not an area control game in the sense that area control is a tightly contested genre for me, and I've already had a few things recently added to that genre that are enjoyable, including Lords of Hellas. I'm happy it's not a long epic narrative game. I don't have time for those, like I've said already. I'm going to keep getting them because I have no self-control, but I don't have time for those. And I like the idea of a sort of semi-co-op thing, if it works, if it's balanced. Although going back to something I said earlier, so why is it that Nemesis, despite being the highest rated semi-co-op game out there, and at 23 as well on Board Game Geek, why is that not a testament to the fact that this is likely to be, maybe just Awaken Realms knows semi-co-op? And I think it's the genres. Nemesis as a genre kind of works because it's more about the storytelling aspect of the game. It's more about the craziness of what's happening in that game. And most people, from what I've seen, actually play it co-op, but it's the tenseness that it could be semi-co-op that has you a little bit uncertain. The tenseness of what could be that throws you off. It's going to be the art book. Some gorgeous art over here. I always want all the art books, but I never do anything with them other than, I have the Lords of Hellas one as well, but I don't do anything with them. I just have the art books. I was actually so happy when I noticed that in Nemesis, ooh, look at those cannons. I noticed that in Nemesis, look at that, beautiful art. In Nemesis, they have the Untold Stories, which I initially was not going to get, but then I'm happy because they actually have gameplay in them, so it leads to interesting stuff there. But art books here, I can't frame this. What am I going to do with it? I mean, I guess you could cut out the pages and frame them, but that seems like a lot of work there going through this here. But yeah. So the reason semi-co-op aspect doesn't apply to the Great Wall is because I think semi-co-op as a general genre, usually one of a few things happens in semi-co-op. You have to make the game in a way that it won't happen. But the general things that could happen in semi-co-op is going to be that if the players are incentivized, if any one player, ooh, what do we have here? Ooh, we got a coin, okay. We have something over here, the Great Wall. Oh, this is going to be our little handwritten note. I love that Awaken Realms does this. They do little teasers to what's coming up. So, as somebody who backed their game, and by the way, timestamps in case you want to skip this. Dear backer, we are really glad you are reading the letter, and that the Great Wall is now in your hands. This was an ambitious project. We tailored it to your expectations by developing both miniatures and meeple versions, adding many game-enhancing stretch goals, and what's most important, polishing rules and gameplay so that they will provide strategic depth while staying streamlined and easy to learn. It was the first time we offered such a variety for you to choose from, and we think this is a step in the right direction. You might have seen we repeated this approach in our latest campaign, IS's Vanguard. It was all possible because of you. If you hadn't aided us with your ideas, your support, and your faith in us, this game wouldn't have existed at all. You've also motivated us through the entire development process. I substituted the word whole with entire, because why not? Making this game was a pleasant distraction from the enormous cooperative campaign games. You see? Even you're burnt out on this. Focusing on another type of interaction between players, designing clever mechanics, and simple playing against each other was certainly a refreshing experience. What can we say after this long and satisfying development process? We're proud of this game. We feel like we did what we could to give you a solid core experience. And for those who want more, we've prepared many ways to enrich their play. The cooperative mode, for those who wish to plan along with friends. My wife's going to want that. Genghis Khan expansion to make things a little more challenging and complex. Several scenarios in Ancient Chronicles to add a layer of story and variety to the game. Jesse, you heard that? Ancient Chronicles adds story. And many, many more. Playtesting them all in different configurations was difficult and sometimes tiresome, but in the end we are content with what we achieved. The letter you're reading is part of our tradition. We like to add something extra to our games. There's something extra in this surprise box. Keep in mind that's not the box of stretch goals. You'll find them in another one. This little gift includes a metal coin, an additional component which you may track the currently resolved command card during your Great Wall plays. Okay, so it's relevant to this. The Gaijun art book. An art book for Awaken Realms Light's upcoming game set in a vivid post-apocalyptic cyberpunk world. It will be going live on Gamefound this year. We hope you'll enjoy these presents, and we hope you will enjoy the Great Wall. If you like our game, please share your experience with your friends and with us. Posting a rating on BoardGameGeek or uploading your picture on social media can go a long way. We wish you exciting plays when you come up with interesting strategies and defeat countless hordes storming your high walls. Marcin, Robert, Lukasz, and Camille. Cool. I always like those. Usually I don't read the full thing on camera, but those are always nice. It's a nice personal touch. Awaken Realms is always, again, I've said this, I include them in a video of my favorite companies or something along those lines. Not favorite, but like the most community-based companies. And the reason for that is because of stuff like this. They have a live stream every single Monday. Marcin shows up in a live stream every single Monday to answer your questions. They have a Facebook page for every single one of their games where, again, Marcin, the CEO of the company, will show up left, right, and center. They're a very solid company. I'm a big fan of them, which is also why I hope I like this game, because I hope I like this game. But anyways, moving on. So we have Gaijun, which is going to be on Gamefound shortly. Gaijun is going to be Awaken Realms Light. Even though it doesn't seem like Awaken Realms Light, it seems kind of midway between the two companies. A 1 to 4 player game, 90 minutes. And then it has some, post-apocalyptic, cyberpunky, rural, cyberpunk, whatever situation. We got these things over here. Let's see what we got. Just more and more and more and more and more. Just more and more stuff in case you are interested in this. We got, ooh, wow, look at this dragon surrounding the tower. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Just overall some solid artwork here for this game. We got this. Some beautiful stuff over here. Yep. All in all, that is going to be another unboxing. 2 in 1 week from Awaken Realms. I'm not currently expecting a third. Oh, wait. The playmat. Playmat. Gotta be careful there. Almost got the playmat. This is going to be the giant playmat, in case you want to see it, because now I need storage for these playmats. It's getting out of hand. The amount of playmats I'm starting to get, I genuinely need some storage for it. This is much larger than the board. It's pretty. Whoa, look at this. This is pretty. I like it a lot. Let me go ahead and zoom that camera out for you a bit. Solid, solid playmat. I'm very excited. I'm gonna go head off, grab some dinner, and start reading some rules because I want to get to this I want to get this to the table as soon as I possibly can. Until next time, and as always, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.